think that when you have something like, you've got this character Mad Max who's just, basically cruising Australia looking for a tank of gas, you know, that's basically the story. And it's just all the shit that happens while he's trying to fill up his tank of gas. And sets him on this adventure. So I think that it's, I tend to look at things from character development from a world building standpoint. So I would probably do that before I worked on the character itself. And that would give me a direction as to why is my character stocky? Oh, well, he does this type of stuff, or if I think I want a character who's stocky, well, who's stocky? Why are they stocky? Like Neanderthal. Neanderthals tended to be stocky. They were shorter, broader, but they had a lot more muscle mass on them. And it's because they were fighting cave bears, They needed to retain as much body heat as possible because they're running around in ice age climates type stuff. So, trying to figure out why a character has evolved or developed a certain way is as important as the character's look, in my opinion. In some cases, it's more important because it kind of, like I said, directs that character's look. So, but anyways, that's how I do it.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the coolest world building elements I've ever heard actually comes for something that's already been well established, dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
I've ever seen someone kind of did a world building thing where the reason why all dwarves, even females, have beards. And it's because the beards act as a natural filtration system for the dust when they're in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why all dwarves have beards. And I heard that, I'm like, oh my god, that makes complete sense and makes it even cooler.
Mm-hmm. And I one of the things I do is I watch videos on evolution for various, not just humans, but pretty much everything. But one of the things I think is really funny is why why humans are the only hairless primates. And it turns out it's because we're also one of the only ones that can sweat. Most mammals essentially breathe heavily and pant to try and cool themselves down. Whereas Marie and I were talking about this last night because we're talking about character building and world building, but and understanding why characters evolve and grow certain ways. So in the case of humans, essentially we the conversation Aaron and I had several weeks ago, persistent hunting.
Oh yeah.
So it's the idea that we could actually sweat, so we didn't need body hair. We, like not having body hair allowed air to cool us as opposed to panting. And because we could run for such long distances and whatnot, and wear other animals down, they could run faster than us, but not longer. Yeah. So, the special I watched the other day actually.
Catching up to him. It's Pepe Le Pew. If you ever wanted an explanation of it, watch Pepe Le Pew and all the Warner Brothers, the Looney Tunes cartoons. That's how humans hunt. They're not fast, but they're persistent. They just keep wearing you down. That poor cat, she can never get away from him. She's gone across the country. She's gone into space. And eventually Pepe Le Pew catches up with her, if he's not there already.
And, but yeah, it's like that concept of persistence hunting is, and also, it possibly also leads to the idea that with less hair, we're more aerodynamic, less drag. So we moved faster, less, or we saved a lot more energy in the persistence hunting kind of thing. So there's reasons why we developed certain ways, standing upright, things like that, versus where our genetic cousins essentially didn't. So yeah, it's so that's the part of the character creation that's super important, is understanding why certain things happen. And that's also why a lot of times I'll look to evolutionary history when I'm creating something, when I'm creating an alien design. I love, the idea, if I'm, if you think of the environment of, say you're dealing with a planet like Venus. Well, Venus, it's too hot to live on the planet's surface. So if there's any life there, if there's any high life there, like high level life, it's not going to be on the ground. It's going to be drifting in the air, but also it can't land. But what if it was some kind of creature, almost like you think of like some of the fish or jellyfish, that essentially will fill themselves with water to maintain a certain buoyancy level so that they don't sink or float. They just become neutrally buoyant for whatever depth they're at. And you can do the same thing with air in the atmosphere. So you'd have these, weird flying things that are basically, zeppelins, shaped animals, or, animals that are kind of like zeppelins, can have like these airbags that help them float or sink by just, how much air they maintain in them. And it would be something that would happen instinctively, much like breathing, essentially. It wouldn't be something they consciously think about. So that's kind of how I would think about the character